a quiet beginning to this review. Alien Inception. The CRKT Ripple. That's what I'm going to call this video. And they do look kind of alien to me. And that is to say, cool in this instance. Very handsome blades. But more importantly, extremely capable EDC knives from CRKT. They're going to catapult right into my best knives under $40 playlist and also Hall of Fame EDC blades here in the Nutnfancy project. That's right, that's how much I like the Ripple from Ken Onion. It's great to do a very positive review on one of his designs. You'll see some other videos here and there, or at times I don't dig the knife that Ken Onion puts together. A lot I do. It just depends on the model. And speaking of which, there's two to show you in this Nutnfancy tabletop review. On the top is the more affordable one. That's why it can go into the best knives under $40 playlist. And that is model K415KXP. On the bottom is that gorgeous blue one in ultramarine blue tie-dye coating. And that is version, I should say catalog number K405BXP. These knives have so much great things going on. I only have really a couple of minor criticisms for the Ripple. Very minor in the big scheme of things. We'll start off, I guess, with POU. I already said it. There's not much to discuss here. They're not tactical blades. They're too small. They don't have enough traction for me. The handles aren't big enough. They're EDC utility knives, first and foremost. I want to show you some other Hall of Fame competitive offerings I've reviewed over the years here in TMP by way of contrast, both in size, design, weight, pricing. Most, I think, will be very close to the price points represented on the table. Great EDC blades, though. I mean, when we talk about ergonomics, for me, I want light, I want thin, easy to carry, to integrate it into my EDC system. The Ripple, or I should say the Alien Inception knife, does just that. And that's really all I'm going to say. Well, maybe collectible, because they are just gorgeous. In a lot of ways, this one at least seems like a custom knife in appearance. More expensive than its price point. This Ripple. We'll talk about the steel here in a second. Heck, we'll talk about it now. That'll end the philosophy of use discussion. EDC blade, perhaps collectible for you. Two steel types represented on the table. The top, once again, this black aluminum one, actually features 8CR14 MOV, little higher chromium content than 8CR13 MOV, which is a steel I love. If I had to choose between the two, I would take 13 MOV, just knowing what I know now. Always subject to change. I'm always learning, and I'm still not the steel's expert. I don't think I ever will be. I'm just a user of steel, and I just kind of know what I like. I like 8CR13. 14's pretty close, perhaps a little bit more rust resistant. It's a Chinese produced steel, and they're going to put it in the blade when cost is really important. So decent steel out of box. This one comes adequately sharp. However, I want to slap it on the Edge Pro Apex and really put a polished and wicked edge on it. The relief edge out of box is decent. You can see it. This one on the bottom, the stainless steel framed version, features what's called Akuto Plus steel. I'm learning about that steel too. From what I can gather, it's kind of like VG10. If you check out the steels chart there at CRKT, you'll see the composition of Akuto Plus very similar to VG10. You know I love VG10. Doesn't wear its edge forever, but man, is it easy to sharpen, rust resistant. Takes a fine edge. Akuto Plus has what are called coarse carbides. Haven't really talked about this much here in TMP. That is to say, the stuff in the steel that cuts are pretty coarse, and therefore it will cut very well, is my understanding. The downside, perhaps you can't get a fine edge. Is that true? Well, I don't think so, because I got a very fine edge with this stuff. That's an EPA edge on this Akuto Plus blade. Steel composition from just very brief research on Akuto Plus is like 0.95 carbon, 17 to 18% chromium, Moly B about 1.5%. Again, very similar to VG10. I will tell you this though, I cut a lot of cardboard with this exact knife and I was extremely impressed with it. Some of that has to do with the high hollow grind of the ripple. So there's not too much friction going through the cardboard. It cut. One of the better cardboard cutting tests I've done in a while came out of this knife. Afterwards it dulled just like any other knife I've done that with. I don't care what the steel is. And it needed to be resharpened. Again, resulting in a very impressive edge by my estimation. Where's the paper? Rarely do this. Nice. Ran it to about 1,000 grit and then I got bored and didn't do it anymore. I think it's cool. It is hardened to 59 to 60 on the Rockwell scale. On the top, that HCR 14 MOV is 57 to 59. My favorite steel between the two, absolutely the Akuto Plus, from what I've seen. And I didn't really rust test it, but I suspect it's going to be pretty darn good. Very good. How about the blade shapes? Beautiful, elegant drop point. HG once again, unsharpened swedge on the top, nice precise tip, just like we want, just like I want for, I don't know, EDC use. Oh, there's another one. I'll talk about why here in just a second. Great blade shape. Jimping on the top. Strangely, the jimping to me is a little bit better with the stainless steel framed ripple than the aluminum ripple. And I think that's because just of how the milling goes on the frame jimping right here. It actually gives you great traction for a little EDC blade like this. Satin finishing on the Akuto steel is also pretty impressive. You can see the Kin Onion logo there. Engraved it to test the hardness, mark it. Really nice. You're not going to get that same fit and finish. I shouldn't say fit, but finish on the HCR 14 MOV. It is still satin finished. More of an economy blade there. Still very serviceable, don't get me wrong. They do have combo edges available. I would not prefer them myself. I'll roll in a picture right here. You can check it out in the ripple if that's what you dig. Hit it. Speed is outstanding in the ripple. Just outstanding. Again, we're seeing the trend, which I really like, of ball bearings in the pivot point. CRKT calls theirs the IKBS. There's ball bearings in milled races in the stainless steel frame of this one, and I think they're contained in the blade itself in the aluminum version. The end result is perfect blade centering, very consistent, and then extremely fast and sure deployment. Not that we need ball bearings for that. I've been pretty happy with either Teflon or phosphor bronze bushings before, and those come out just great. Again, maybe we'll look at a few competitive offerings for that. But as it stands, a ripple speed, fabulous, just fabulous. It just comes out so easily. It's a flipper design. You'll notice no thumb studs, so that makes it ambidextrous as well. Man, that's just a really cool system. I like the IKBS. Their proprietary name. I get them all confused too. The aluminum one, same thing. Speed is just as awesome. Like so. I cannot fault the speed of deployment at all. How about lockup strength? Two different knives as far as lockup goes, really. This is a stainless steel frame lock right here. 420J2 stainless steel frame. This is an aluminum frame. We'll look at that one first. Captured liner lock, just like so. And I think that's 2CR13 steel acting as the lock bar right there. the locking liner, I should say. Check out the engagement surface. That's a thin liner, Nutnfancy. Yeah, a lot of them are on EDC blades, but this is a light utility blade. How much strength do you really need? In cardboard cutting tests, in stabbing tests, yeah, I did that too. The ripple did just fine. I didn't notice any problems at all, so I think it's adequate. This is a stainless steel frame lock version. Elegantly executed, I might add. Elegantly. One thing I forgot to really hit on is the weight on these knives, and it's a good time to do it because we're looking at the lightning holes that are milled in. There's like, I don't know, 44 of them in both versions, the aluminum and the steel, resulting in this knife weighing, I'm talking the stainless steel one, 2.8 ounces. This black aluminum one is only 2.2 ounces for a 3.125 inch blade. I think they also make a 2.7 inch blade that's even lighter, like 1.7 ounces. Wow, well done. I talked about, what review was it? Just very recently I posted it. Oh yeah, the Kershaw Cryo. It's a stainless steel framed knife. I said I was going to show you one that was done correctly as far as weight goes. This is it. Aggressively milled out. Alien looking. That's a good thing again. Strong enough. There's your lock bar on this one. See, the engagement is actually about 3/4, maybe a little bit more on there. So far so good. I don't know what the future holds for this knife. You know, I didn't long-term test it before I brought it to the table. I hope for good things. Talking about durability, kind of jumping ahead. How's the handle retention? They have a detent there. You probably saw it when I had the knife open. It's outstanding. Yeah, no tenacious cuts here. And then you can shake it out if you want to upside down. So it strikes that good balance. I would say Lockup, excellent for an EDC knife on both of them. No wiggle, by the way. Up, down, side to side. Both versions. And actually, I've got 3 here. In all 3 versions, it's tight. Handle construction. Talked about most of the details already. Ergonomically, it feels pretty good in hand. You have a choil right here, jimping topside, we've discussed that. Then you have an ergonomic flow in the back of the hand right here. No sharp corners, rounding here. Shoulders are relatively radiused. I didn't notice any hot spots. That's not to say this is the most comfortable knife in use. It is a stainless steel frame knife, this one, which means it can transmit hot and cold to you if you're in the out of doors. No change in that. Incidentally, there is a lanyard hole in it. I don't know if I'd ever put a lanyard on this little tiny EDC knife. Maybe if I was backpacking with it, I would. A fluorescent lantern, I was going to say lanyard, so if I lost it, I could find it. Ergonomic, so I think for an EDC blade, pretty squared away. Remember what I said about the jimping right there. How about clip design? Here comes a criticism. I told you it's not perfect. It's not. One, we get CRKT's forced tip down carry option, and the clip is not swappable anywhere. You're stuck with it. One thing I don't like about the clip is it runs proud kind of away from the handle. You'll really see it here in the aluminum version right here. See that? How it sticks and raises above the handle? There may be some variances with different ripples you get. Minor issue. The biggest issue I have on the clip is that it is flared out. This is one that was not modified by me, and that's why I have it on the table to show you. This doesn't seem like it sticks out that far, but when we tested these knives, carrying them over a period of several weeks, it was obnoxious. One of the reasons why is because this clip is so darn strong. I mean, it is hardened stainless steel, and it provides plenty of tension to carry it deep in the pocket, incidentally. That's a deep carry pocket clip, albeit tipped down. The knife buries. You hardly even see much of it while you're carrying it. That's, again, mostly a good thing. So what I did to get rid of this, removed the clip. I did it on both of these versions, and I milled it. So there's a Nutnfancy modification on the Ripple clip. Now that is a squared away clip, dudes. Very low profile, strong, and you might have to lift it up a little bit on thicker fabrics, but now I'm not scratching cars when I walk past them and everything else. Just a minor thing. Polished, mirror polished clip on both of these. Thematically, blends. Always like, I shouldn't say always, but I usually prefer a blackened stainless steel clip. There you go, overall pretty good. Talked mostly about durability already. I said it in another review, I'll say it again here. I am not sure how the ball bearings will act once you get dirt and grit in there. I suspect bad things because it's a more complicated design. I haven't taken apart any of these to service them. There's your pivot screw should you need to do that, and it is featuring Torx constructed on the pillar design, which I'm glad I remember to show you. So very clean and elegant, simple design. You can take it apart if you need to. I'm not sure about this ball bearing, so you might want to keep an eye on that. Over time we'll learn. We'll get data from it. It may be a thing that sticks around. I'm talking ball bearing pivot points. It may be something that just, I don't know, gets pitched onto value. So I'm going to say durability. From what I know now, even with a Kudo Plus 8CR14 MOV steel, I think it's going to be excellent. Value options. The steel version, snapshot in time, 2012. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, about 80 bucks. That's not exactly inexpensive. I think a lot of that has to do with the tie-nye coating, the ultramarine tie-nye coating, which incidentally, I didn't mention this, is hand polished to reveal some of the stainless steel underneath for a very contrasting alien look on this blade. I like it a lot. On the aluminum blade, same thing, but it's anodized, not tie-nye coated. I forgot to mention the handle on this. It does have somewhat sharper shoulders on it, and it's not a pillar constructed. That's a Zytel backspacer on the aluminum version. Keep in mind, this sucker's 2.2 ounces for a 3.1 inch blade. Wow, that is an achievement. So I'll put up with a little bit of square shoulders on the knife there. So 80 bucks I said, more or less. About 30 bucks right here. Maybe a little bit more or less. So this is an outstanding deal, this knife here. And now we go to competitive options. I just love this knife. I'm going to love all the knives I'm going to show you right now, though, just as much as the Ripple, to be honest. They're all outstanding. First up, I guess, is the Spyderco Delica 4. I just showed it in another review that we'll post soon. VG10 steel, speaking of which, very similar again to Akuto Plus, what I know now. 2.6 ounces, about 40 bucks for this. Comes in all kinds of cool colorations, full flat ground, precise tip. I love VG10. It's, again, great backpacking steel. Excellent option. How about the Spyderco Tenacious? Here it is in Blue Sprint. It's going to be much heavier though, 4 ounces. I shouldn't say much, but it is heavier. This blue version I think is running around 30 bucks or so. Get it while you can. Great jimping on that 8CR13 MOV steel. You know the Tenacious. I've been selling these knives for Spyderco since, I don't know, was it early 09, late 08? Great knife. EDC Hall of Famer. Just like this one. Skyline, made in America, 1760. This one's Duracoated. Sick. Homemade jimping by Nutnfancy. I know. Nutnfancy, where's that special edition Skyline? Talk to Kershaw. Yeah, this one was sharpened on the EPA as well. Great knife. Great knife. Very lightweight too, the Skyline. 2.4 ounces. Competes very favorably against this. 14C28 N steel is this one, Skyline. That looks very sick, by the way, that coloration. Love it. I think it's Blackhawk Coyote Tan. SOG Twitch. OS 8, cryo-treated OS 8, full flat ground, 2.6 ounces, about 45 bucks. Another outstanding option for EDC. These are all HOF blades, dudes. And then just recently reviewed, not too long ago, the ultra fast little brother to the Twitch, the Blink, also an OS 8, 2.2 ounces, about 28 bucks in this coloration. I love the Blink. I can't pick favorites from these knives. I cannot. That says a lot about the Ripple, doesn't it? I think it does, because it's the new kid on the block with all these HOF blades, and I'm saying it stacks and racks very competitively against these outstanding blades from various manufacturers that we in the Nutnfancy project have bought, used hard for years, and just loved. Alien Inception. Yeah, the CRKT Ripple. Very, very minor criticisms on it. I already told you what they are, but the speed, outstanding. Ball bearing system, outstanding. I love the looks. Both of these are good looking blades. Ergonomic enough for EDC carry. Great edge retention out of a Kudo Plus. Sharpened nicely. Great rust resistance, it looks like. Value is pretty good in this one. It is absolutely smoking in this knife right here, the aluminum one. If you can deal with the 8CR 14 MOV, look in the upper right. Those are my recommended sources for these blades. That's a Nutnfancy review. See you guys.